Hi guys, it's been forever since I have uploaded anything, and I could give you probably 1,000 excuses, but the main thing is that I just didn't want to. I've got other hobbies since I, made these videos, and they help me a lot more with dealing with my chronic pain and, my chronic illnesses, and so they've kept me busy, and I just didn't feel the need to sit down at a computer and film myself until now. I'm making this video because I want to talk about my appointment with Dr. Clair Francomano. She's a world-renowned geneticist and specialist with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. And basically I want to make this for the people in the chronic illness community, because I waited 2 years to get my appointment for Dr. Francomano, and in those 2 years, I watched for videos, about having your appointment, and I couldn't really find anything, and so I wanted to kind of just explain how my appointment went, and explain what my diagnoses are now after my appointment. And the other reason I'm making this video is because my family members, a lot of them on Facebook and stuff, are wondering what the hell my geneticist said. And it's really hard to put into a Facebook post or even over the phone. It's a ton of information to process. And so I thought I'd sit down and at least so someone could watch it and rewind and, kind of take it all in, because it's a lot of information. For those of you that are watching because you're thinking about making an appointment, my suggestion is that you do. I don't know if by the title you thought maybe it was bad, but it was a very good appointment. So making an appointment, you should call as soon as possible, basically. And then they're going to send you something in the mail, and it's about 28 pages long, and it's basically a genetic profile. You list all your symptoms, your medications, your current treatment plans, what you've done in the past, anything, it has sections for, your immediate family, and then sections for your aunts and uncles and their kids, and it's 28 pages long. It's a lot of information. And so once you get that all filled out, then you send it back to them, you wait a few more months, and then you find out that you got an appointment, and then you wait the designated amount of time. I think once I got that in, I waited about 1 year and 2 months to see the doctor. And so I recommend getting started as soon as possible. You can always change your mind up to 48 hours before the appointment. So I suggest, if you're even thinking about it, to just bite the bullet and do it. I had my reasons for putting it off for 1 year, and I still kick myself to this day. Why didn't you do it sooner? You could have been so much farther ahead in your treatment plans and everything if you had just done it sooner. And I personally, when I thought I had EDS, especially at first, I saw all these people in the chronic illness community who had it and were so tiny, so little, and I am not a tiny person. And I was I can't have EDS, I don't look like them, I'm not that tiny. But that is, one, totally untrue, and because anyone can have EDS, and two, it's stupid to let things like that get in the way of your treatment. But please, if you're thinking about making an appointment, just go ahead and do it. The day of my appointment, we left. I had to go to Baltimore. That's where she's located. It's the Harvey Institute for Human Genetics. And it's located in the Greater Baltimore Medical Center in Baltimore. And it's a hospital, and it's a wing of the hospital, and it's quite a maze to get there. So make sure you follow the signs, and when you see the big sign for the Harvey Institute for Genetics, the door is right on that wall. Do not go where the arrow is pointing you to, because we got lost in the maze. But it's a 3-hour drive from where I live, and so, wear loose clothing. Don't think you have to dress up just because it's a fancy specialist. Don't do that, because they're gonna make you put on a gown anyways. And, going to a new doctor in general is always nerve-wracking. Like, you don't know what to expect. You have to, walk them through your history and your symptoms and, just how your body works in general. And, so going to a specialist like that, it's completely normal to be terrified. I was terrified. Promise. We stopped to get at a local bakery to get some food, and I couldn't eat the entire way there. I took one bite, and I was like, I can't eat. I don't want to be so nervous that I throw up on the doctor. That's not gonna happen. And so I was nervous, but we got there, and we made it through that maze, and we finally found where we were supposed to go. And I signed in, I did all the necessary paperwork, which was 13 pages itself, and so I was glad we got there a little bit early. And then I think she was a genetic counselor, she came out and she got us, and she brought us back. And she was the one who went over that big 28-page genetic profile. She was the one who, I guess, read through that and decided, she decides who gets appointments, who doesn't need appointments, stuff like that. And so she was, she had all, the list of all my symptoms and stuff, which had to be updated. Medications had to be updated, etc., etc. And, so that took about 10 minutes, I guess. And she goes, okay, I'm gonna go get the doctor, and I'll be right back. And then, I swear to God, the freaking cavalry comes in. And it was the genetic counselor. She went and sat at the computer. And then it was a medical student, which I was very happy about, because we need more doctors who, know about Ehlers-Danlos. And because I'm so sick of running into doctors who either barely remember it from their medical boards or, don't even know what it is. That's scary. So it was great to have a medical student in there, learning. And then her nurse practitioner came in. Her name's Christine. She's fabulous. And then Dr. Francomano. And so it was the freaking cavalry was coming into my room. And I was like, oh my God. I was a little overwhelmed. I guess, I've never been to, Johns Hopkins or anything. So I've never had, a team of doctors, come into my room like that. Except being in the hospital or something, I guess. And so they came in, and they did a physical examination, and I won't bore you by going over everything that they did. I guess I'll highlight a few things. First of all, I have this packet. It's 10 pages long. It has what I came in for that day, my past medical history, my surgical history, hospitalizations, medications, trauma history, social history, and then the review of systems, like, basically all of the things that fall under the Ehlers-Danlos categories, like that I fit at the time I filled out that big thing, and things I fit currently at the appointment. So the list, I guess, grew longer. And so they did the physical examination. They did the normal, like, blood pressure, pulse, breathing rate, etc., etc. The blood pressure took forever to work, and because they had to do it so many times, by the time she took off the cuff, Dr. Francomano noticed that the redness stayed for like half an hour. It was a very long physical examination, first of all, because they did a lot of stuff. She did measurements, a ton of measurements, like arm span to height ratio, just like a bunch of measurements. And then she did my beeen, the beeen score, which the beeen score measures joint hypermobility, and anything over 4 or higher equals joint hypermobility. So passive dorsiflexion of the fifth finger beyond 90 degrees, which is if your pinky bends further than 90 degrees, which mine did. I don't remember. It doesn't say how. She measured it, but it doesn't have the measurement here. If the thumbs can touch the forearms, which mine do. Elbow hyperextension, mine do by 14 degrees. Knee hyperextension, which I've known my knees were weird, but they hyperextend by like 20 degrees. And so when my knees, a normal person's knees like lock like straight. My knees are like bowed like that when they lock. So it makes, even standing kind of difficult when they lock that far, backwards. It's very uncomfortable. And there was one thing on the beeen, scale that I couldn't do because I don't have an Achilles tendon in my left foot. I couldn't do the hands on the floor with your legs straight thing because it stretches the tendon that's in my leg too far now. It feels like it's gonna like blow up. So I didn't even attempt that one. I was just like, I've tried and I can't do that. And then she noted like my flat feet, which I've had reconstructive surgeries for, but they were still extreme. I mean, they're still extremely flat. They've been like that since I was a child, so there's that. And then things like my fingers being really hypermobile, which I guess is normal for people, and then my hands kind of bowing up that way, which she noted. She noted that I have a little bit of like scoliosis in my back and a kyphosis, which is like a little bit of a curvature of the top of my spine. And then she noted one thing that was really funny during the exam. She was taking the measurement of my head, and she goes, "Wow, you have a big head." I was like, "Thanks," And then she was like, "Are you the only one in your family that has a big head?" And I was like, "I guess." Like, I thought it was a little bit of a rude question. And then she was like, and then she turned to my mom and she was like, "Does anyone else in the family have an abnormally large head?" And I was like, "My head is abnormally large?" Like, I had no idea. Like, I know I have like the chubby Polish cheeks, but I had no idea that my head was abnormally large. And so that made us laugh a little bit. But basically she did that. And she was like kind of explaining to me as she was going, like, why she was taking these measurements and things like that. And then she was like, we're gonna go talk about this, and we'll come back with, our suggestions and things like that. And, as they were doing the exams, her and her nurse practitioner, they had, like, this shorthand, I guess, and, she was calling out to the genetic counselor, because she was typing all this up during the appointment. And, but her and her, nurse practitioner had, a shorthand where they would be, they'd look at something and they'd be like, or they'd be like, so I couldn't really read them as to, which way they were gonna lean when they were, discussing, my diagnoses and, my future, basically. And I was like, oh, okay, it'll probably take, 10 minutes for them to, talk about it and blah, blah, blah. And it turned into, 40 minutes. And Dr. Francomano came back in. And I think Christine was with her, the nurse practitioner. And, so she came back in with this huge packet. And that's when she actually, sat down with me and talked about what was going on. She said, yes, it looks like you have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, hypermobility type. Sorry, I'm still sick. Based on my skin and my Didnt score and atrophic scarring, and the day I went in, I had a huge bruise on my shin about this big, which I was happy about. I was like, she'll finally get to see, she's gonna get to see, how bruised up I get for no reason. And all my easy scarring and my flat feet, my gray sclera in my eyes, my high narrow palate, my small mouth, small teeth, my hypermobile joints in my fingers, my wrist, and my scoliosis. So I got that diagnosis, and I was like, yes, I'm pretty sure I smiled, looked like a complete idiot, but she acknowledged my pain. She knows how much, how painful it is to have the hypermobility type of Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. She gets it completely. She will validate your pain. She will, she understands. She understands how debilitating it is. She understands all the other things that come with having EDS and how it can, affect every single system. After she diagnosed me with Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, she said, you also have symptoms of dysautonomia and POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. So I got that as a diagnosis. She said I have symptoms of mast cell activation disorder, which she diagnosed, which is a common phenomenon with EDS patients, and it includes the dermographia I got when the blood pressure cuff was too tight, flushing of the skin, and GI issues, basically. And I also get itching underneath my skin. I can't quite explain what it's like, but it's an itch you can't reach. It's just itching under the skin, and I never knew until I asked her. I was like, is this a symptom of mast cell activation disorder? Because I get it all the time, and I never know what it is. And she said, yeah. So mast cells are basically the things that react when there's an allergen introduced into your body. And so basically it causes the skin issues. When I'm scratched, my skin hyper reacts basically, the mast cells like overreact. And when I eat certain foods, I'm pretty much dairy free. I don't like eat dairy, but there's other things. She gave me a list of foods that are like high to activate mast cells. And some of those foods, when you eat them, your mast cells see them as an allergen, and so they react, and they cause all these GI symptoms. And so, I'm on a few medications for that as well. And then she noted all, like, my frequent infections, and she made me go see an immunologist, which I did, and, get, like, a workup for that, to check, like, my T cells and stuff. And, that all came back not really showing anything. And, yeah. And then the last thing she diagnosed me with was the Chiari malformation. And, basically, because of my big head. And, I guess she noticed as soon as she measured my head, and, she knew I had migraines. Because of the way my migraines are, they're right behind my eyes, and it's like a ton of pressure right behind my eyes. And so, I'm sorry, I'm reading through, what the report says. She wanted, like, an upright MRI of my neck and my head, because in an upright MRI, your head sits differently when you're upright rather than laying down in a normal MRI. And so she wanted those images to see if I had a Chiari malformation. And I did get those images done, and I knew before they even called with my results, because they gave me a disc. And being the inquisitive person that I am, I looked at them, and I basically Googled normal brain versus Chiari brain, and basically mine looked like the Chiari brain and not the normal brain. And since seeing Dr. Francomano, my neurological symptoms have increased. At that time, I had just become dyslexic. I don't know why it came out of nowhere. I was never dyslexic as a child, but they noted that when I was there, and as like a neurological symptom. And since then, I've been having motor skill difficulties, like with like opening things or like clipping a dog leash. Like, it takes me a lot longer to get it right. Like, poor hand-eye coordination, which is a symptom of Chiari. I've had a cold since, like, September, and it's mid-November now. I'm still sick. And I've been getting, Chiari headaches from coughing so hard. And then, very recently, I hope it's not evident in this video, because, it's kind of embarrassing, but I've been gagging on, like, I have my fan on, and it's blowing air, like, towards my face and into my mouth, and so I'm fighting the urge to gag on the air, and, I've been having trouble swallowing my food and gagging on my food, unless it's something, I'm very hungry for. I don't know why that's, like, an exception, or B, something that's, like, harder, like crackers don't make me, like, gag as much, or, like, pretzels or something, they don't make me gag as much, but soft things, like meats, or even rice, which I love, like, quinoa and rice and stuff like that, and vegetables, and they're all recently making me gag, or either gag or choke, and it's a I looked it up, and it's a symptom of Chiari. And so that's something I'm dealing with now, too. Basically, the Chiari was the biggest, other than getting, like, the initial, like, Ehlers-Danlos diagnosis, the Chiari was the biggest, like, surprise, and biggest, like, threat, I guess, because if you leave it untreated, you know, things can happen from sneezing too hard, or coughing too hard, or, getting in an accident and getting whiplash too hard can, your brain can herniate into your spinal cord, and so, that's not a fun thing to be hanging over your head, and if that ever happens, you can have a stroke, be paralyzed, or die instantaneously. And so that was probably the biggest, like, surprise for me, to deal with. And, they did refer me to a neurosurgeon, and I made the appointment, I think, like, the September 3rd, and basically they couldn't get me in until April, and so I'm very nervous about that now. I have, like, I think it's a 3.5 millimeter Chiari, and according to my neurologist, that's borderline, but I know that at the Chiari Institute, they operate on, like, a 1 millimeter, so I guess it just depends on, like, your symptoms and how bad they are. Currently, I'm having a lot of neurological symptoms, and so, and so I personally am leaning more towards having the surgery because I don't want all these things hanging over my head, and a lot of the, neurological issues are bothering me, and I'm having migraines. At the time of my appointment, I was having them, like, 5 to 10 times a month, and now I'm having them nearly every day, and, they're off and on now that I started the medication that they have me on, but, yeah, I'm being really affected by that, I think. Beyond my, like, joint pain from the EDS and my GI stuff. That's kind of where I'm at right now. After she described all of that, like, all the diagnoses that she gave me, there's a big information thing about Ehlers-Danlos, which is good because I forwarded on, like, I've given it to all my other doctors. So if they're not as knowledgeable in EDS, they're, like, it's like 3 pages worth of, like, information. And, so they're getting to read all of that. And then I have about 2 pages of recommendations that she wanted me to do, and I've done most of them. She came in with this packet, then about a stack this big of prescriptions, and some for, like, imaging and stuff like that, and then some for, medications and physical therapy and stuff like that. I've been in physical therapy since September. It is, I wouldn't say it's helping, but it's helping me stay at, like, the same level. I haven't gotten worse, with my joint stuff at least. Neurological stuff, yes, but with my joint stuff at least, I haven't gotten any worse. I haven't had a dislocation. I've had a lot of subluxations, but not a dislocation, which is good, which means the strengthening is helping. I got a lot of blood work done for her. And then she wants me doing like Epsom salt baths, which I do anyways. She wanted me to have the MRI, which I had done. I had a sleep study done for her, and that came back, I guess, not showing what she wanted. It was like a day and a half. It's an interesting sleep study, but I did it. And I just recently had an echocardiogram. She wanted me to go, like, to Johns Hopkins, to one of her coworkers that she's worked with in the past. But I've been doing all these other things, that she had on the list for me. And I waited too long to make an appointment. Because we do have a phone conference in December. And so I wanted to get everything done before then, like the imaging and everything. So if my echocardiogram comes back, showing something, of course I'm going to make the appointment at Johns Hopkins. But until I get the results of that, which I should get in the next few days, I just, I wanted to get it done rather than wait. And she gave me braces too. She didn't give them to me, but she gave me prescriptions for braces. I already had ones for my hands and for my knee. And then she gave me a prescription for orthotics. She gave me a prescription for a shoulder one that's universal, so I can use it on either shoulder. And then she wanted me using like an abdominal binder for my rib dislocations, because that's one thing that happens to me a lot. They pop out of place to the point where you can like feel the head of my ribs. So I tried that. It's not really working for me. It's a little too much pressure on my ribs, and it wasn't helping me. And for my Chiari, she has me on something called Diamox. She wants me to try it for a few months at least. And it basically limits the amount of cerebrospinal fluid that builds up in your head because of the Chiari malformation. And, but there's a little bit of a risk to using it, because it can make you acidotic. And I was using it for about a month, and I was supposed to get blood work after the first 14 days, but I was sick during that time. I've had a cold since like September, and so I waited until about a month out to get the blood work done, and I went and got it done when I started feeling like abnormally crappy. Like I'm like around a 6 every day, but I was having days where I was like at an 8, and I was like, I think I should probably go get my blood work done just to make sure. And I got it done on Friday, and Monday morning, Christine, the physician assistant, called me and said, hey, your blood work came back as acidotic. We need to get you on this other medication that is going to balance you out. So now I'm on a medication to treat the symptoms of a medication. So, yeah. And today, I went to my dad's yesterday, and I forgot this little thing that I'm taking to correct the acidosis. Every time I eat, I have to take some of this, diluted in like juice or Gatorade, because it's really nasty in water. Since I'm having a gagging problem, it's not really great to have to choke down nasty tasting water. And so I have to mix it with juice every time I eat. And I forgot it yesterday. And so I'm definitely feeling it today. It's crazy how, like, fast it, like, affects you. I guess it's making me feel like my muscles are more, like, burning, and then it's hurting my kidney. I don't know why. It gives me, like, kidney pain, but that's what I was feeling right before they put me on the medication, and as soon as I started on it, it went away. And so I guess I'm feeling a little bit acidotic today. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. I highly recommend seeing Dr. Francomano. Like I said, she is very knowledgeable about EDS and how it affects you and how painful it is. Like, she gets it. And everyone I meet with, EDS, I have been pushing, please go see Dr. Francomano if you haven't got an official diagnosis, or if your treatment plan isn't working for you or something. I highly recommend it. Like, if you feel like you have EDS, if you fit all those symptoms, or even some of those symptoms, trust your gut. Like, I've said it in the past, I have felt things wrong with my body and trusted my gut and said, screw you, to every one of the doctors and nurses that looked at me like I was crazy or told me I was crazy. And I was right. I was right about my gallbladder being bad for 2 years. I was right about having EDS and having, we were trying to find someone to put the pieces of my medical mystery all together, and I did it myself through research papers and through the Ehlers-Danlos national website, and I put it all together, and I said, I have EDS, and I brought it up to my doctors, and they were like, I mean, I don't really know that much about EDS, but yeah, it looks like you fit the symptoms, but I can't diagnose you because I don't know that much about it. And so I went and saw Dr. Francomano, and I got my diagnosis. And, she gave me other diagnoses that I would have never known about had I not gone and seen her. No one would have caught my Chiari malformation. I've had migraines for years that have been this bad, and no one would have caught it. And, I mean, I don't know what I would have done if these neurological symptoms, they've been maybe the past 6 months coming on really strong, but if they had started coming on and I had no idea about it, I'd be really scared right now if I had no idea what was causing them. Like, at least I have a cause for what's going on. Like, at least I can attribute it to that and not have to worry about, finding out what it is. Because she figured it out like this. In like a minute, she knew I had it. And so I mean, I don't know how much higher I can, praise her, because she is a great doctor. I have great doctors here, but they're all specialized in their own thing. I have a great GI doctor. I have a great podiatrist. I have a great therapist. I have a great gynecologist. Like, I have great specialists, and I have a great primary care doctor. But to have, like, a superior, great, knowledgeable geneticist as, like, the head of my team now, like, it's so great to have that, and to have that validation of knowing you were right and having your diagnosis. And if you do go through with it, and if you do get diagnosed, I just want to let you know that you will be on a high for a few days, for finally getting that validation, for getting, understanding from a doctor, which you don't get a lot, even if they believe what you have or whatever. There's not a lot of great doctors with great bedside manners, You have to fight to find those doctors. But Dr. Francomano and her team are one of them. They have great personalities. They understand you. They listen to you. They're great. And, you really need to at least try to find someone like that to help you through it. But when you get your diagnosis, when you are riding that high of validation, it'll last a few days, but you're gonna come down from it. Because it's great to get that validation, to get that great doctor on your side, on your team. But on the other hand, you have your diagnosis. It's not going anywhere. You were right, but it's not going anywhere. You're not gonna get better. There's no cure for, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. There's barely anyone who knows what it is. But there's no cure for it. Or you're facing surgery, like brain surgery. That's scary. And my validation high lasted about 3 days. And I was like, this great mood, like, on top of the world. I was right, I was telling everyone I was right. And then I came down and I was really emotional, like, oh my god, I have to live with this for the rest of my life, and you just need to be prepared going into something that big and facing all of these, like, prescriptions and tests and, results that you're gonna get. You need to be prepared for the other side of it. Yes, you're getting your validation, but you're also getting more diagnoses, you're getting more procedures, you're getting more crazy treatments, it's two-sided. And so I highly recommend for anyone to see it, see a geneticist or see Dr. Francomano, but you need to be prepared going in to know that you're going to come down from that validation high, at least if you're like me. So I just want to, warn everyone that there's another side to it, it's not the same as having a bad doctor's appointment. It's definitely not the same as that, of, having someone call you crazy or, just be a bad doctor in general. It's not that kind of come down. It's just the enormity of all the information you get from a doctor that's this knowledgeable about your disease and about your conditions that you are now diagnosed with. So I definitely, I recommend it. And I know this is like a 45-minute video, but I really just wanted to share about how it was and how highly I recommend her and how my treatment plan is going and my symptoms, because my symptoms have changed a lot since I made a video. And I don't want to sit here and go through another 15 minutes of reading you a symptom list or something like that, because I think I covered the most important ones when I was going through my packet. But there is one other thing I need to update you guys on, and it's pretty recent, but it does tie into my chronic pain, and so I will show you guys. I just have to wake it up first. Hi, baby. Oh, hi. This is Benson. He is, he's about 15 weeks old right now. I got him about 3 weeks ago, and we are going to train him to be my therapy puppy. And a therapy puppy, they get extensive training, and basically you get to take them to places where you don't usually get to take dogs, because they will be, trained that way. And hopefully he'll be able to be trained to tell when, like, I'm gonna pass out, or, he'll be able to comfort me when I, like, dislocate in public or something like that. And so, yeah, I just wanted to update you guys on that little aspect of my life, because I love him. We have a very strong bond. He definitely knows I'm his mommy. He's very attached at this point. And so, I just wanted to update you guys on that. He's keeping me pretty active, because, when you have a puppy, you don't really have a choice. You kind of have to, play with them and, entertain them, and, we play fetch outside for about anywhere from, like, 20 to 45 minutes a day, and so that's keeping me pretty active. I do have my bad days. I mean, even since I've gotten him, I've had a few really bad days, but my parents have been great, and my sister has been great with helping me, even though I wanted the puppy. But, yeah, that's what I really wanted to update you guys on, other than my appointment. And, the hobbies that I've gotten into are, basically, I've gotten into a lot of fandom stuff, and if you don't know what that is, you can, click out of the video now. But, for those of you who know what fandoms are, and, going crazy over TV shows and stuff, that's what I've been into, because it helps me kind of escape from, like, being in pain 24/7. And so I write fan fiction, and I make fan videos, and I'm okay. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers on my fan video YouTube, which is pretty cool. And so I'll leave a link down below if you're into that kind of stuff. If you're not, then disregard it, and that's that. But yeah, that's why I haven't really been here, because that keeps me busy, and I finished, my associate degrees, and I did try and go to a 4-year university, but at this point, with the severity of my neurological symptoms, I had to drop, at least for the time being. And so, yeah, that's where I'm at. Kind of waiting on the neurologist, or the neurosurgeon, to see what's going to happen, because we're probably looking at surgery for my Chiari malformation to help my symptoms improve. And so, yeah, I will make a video soon. If you guys liked this one, if you want me to talk about other things, let me know in the comment section, or on Tumblr or Facebook. And yeah, I hope you guys are having a good day, not too painful, and I will talk to you guys next time. Bye.